Alright people, we're going to create a badge. We're going to create a new file, and let's see here, let's just do 1920 by 1080, and we'll change this to 300 resolution, RGB color, background is black, color profile, working sRGB, and create. This will create our document. And a couple things here. Alright, so first things first is we need a grid. Okay, so if we go up into view, go to show, and then go click on grid, it will create a grid. Now there are a bunch of little extra lines in here that you can't really see, so let's add a solid color of something that's not black. Okay, so as you see, black, you can't see those extra lines that are there, these lines here, which are kind of important. Alright, so we'll hit OK. Alright, so now we are going to grab a new layer. So click New Layer, and then we're just going to use a pen tool. And this is a small version of this, but if you want to make it bigger, just make your document size bigger. Alright, so pen tool. We're going to be on our pen tool, and we can be on shape is fine. Fill of whatever color, I'm going to change it to something other than white so we can see, and then our stroke is off. Alright, so basically all we need to do is click on these lines wherever we're going to make this. Alright, so we'll click one point there. We'll click one point here, and then we can drag it like so. And then we need to get rid of this point here, so we will click Alt or Option and then click on that point. And then we're going to come down to about here, like so. And then we could come into about here, and then we'll drag down to about there. Oops, Control Z, let's undo that. Let's drag down to about here, and this is our badge. Alright, so now that we have this badge, we can make a copy of it. So Control J, whoops, Control Z, that's not going to work. I don't know why that's not working. Let's do it again, Control J. What is going on with my Photoshop? Sometimes it just doesn't work. Okay, so Control J, then Control T, and then this one we want to flip it horizontally. So you can do it a couple different ways. If you hold down Alt and drag your little lineup guy here, you can just take it to the center and then just drag over like this. Whoops, nope, that's not what we want to do. Flip horizontal. I'm like so tweaked out here. Alright, so this is our little badge or shield or whatever, and you can make this however you want. Just do one side, make a copy, and then flip it. Alright, so now that we have these two, we're going to select both of the layers and then right click, merge shapes, and that's going to be one shape now. Okay, we can turn our guides off now because we really don't need them. So go up to view, show, and then click on grid. Now we have our path. Alright, so now we're going to make a couple different copies of it. So we're going to do it a little bit differently though. So we're going to add a new layer. We're going to control click on the shield that we just made. So control click, and that's going to make a selection of the first shield. Okay, and then we'll go to select, modify, contract. We're going to contract this by, let's just say 10 pixels. We'll hit OK. And then what we're going to do is we're going to fill this in with a color. And you can fill it in with a gradient too if you wanted to. So our color picker is here. We can just click on this, and let's just say we make it this darker gray color. We'll hit OK. And then to fill this, basically you can just hit Alt and backspace, and it will fill it in, and then you can hit Control D to deselect. So now we have this, and then we're going to make another copy. So new layer, control click the middle one, select, modify, contract. Let's contract this one by 25 this time. We'll hit OK. And now we have this. And then we want to fill this also. We can fill it with, we're going to fill it with the black, which is our background color. So you would hit Control or Command and backspace or delete. And then Control D will deselect it. So now we have our little shield. Okay, we can select, let's select the bottom copy, which is the bigger one, and double click on it. And we're going to turn this into like a gold. So we're going to go into our gradient overlay. We'll click on that, make sure it's on normal. Click on your gradient editor. And I have some gold gradients made up already, but if you just want to make your own, you can kind of copy these colors. I'll just click on it. So the left stop is this color here, D8B778. And then this one here is a little bit darker. It's 5C4806. The cops are going by my house. Sorry about that. Or ambulance or something. This color here is E8C589. This color here is a little bit brighter, FFEEBA. This color here is this one, D8B96F. And then we have this end color here, which is AD9447. Okay, so once you make this gradient up, kind of slide them around to do different effects, but it's just going to kind of have some dark here, some light at the top, a little bit of white bright spots here, and hit OK. So that is our kind of our little gold outline. We'll go ahead and hit OK. And now instead of repeating the same process for all of them, we can just click on both of these layers here. And drag those up like so. Alright, so we kind of lost some things in doing that. Because with the gradient overlay, it's going to cover up everything. Alright, so let's go to our middle one, double click on it, and we're going to do a couple things. We're going to add a little bit of a bevel and emboss, and a little bit of a drop shadow. Okay, so drop shadow, let's reset this. Let's turn off global light, and you can crank up your size. You can crank up your brightness a little bit just to get whatever effect that you want. Okay, you just got to play around with it. And then same with your bevel and emboss here. You can make it really beveled. Just play around with it. I'm going to have it on about 2 or 3, so that's that. And then the depth is 136, inner bevel and smooth. And then on your this down here is going to control your highlights. So if this angle is at 90, it means basically the light is shining down, so the highlights would be at the very top, and then your shadows would be at the bottom. You can change that angle around too, however you want it. But I'm just going to max this out to 100, and then your shadows, if you watch, if you take down the opacity on the bottom, you'll see what's going on with it. Okay, so something like so. We'll go ahead and hit OK. And I want to do the same thing to this top one. So I could just hold down Alt and drag the effects, or Option, either way, and just drag it up to the top. And then we have this. Alright, so this bevel and emboss, we're going to double click on it, and then I'm going to change the direction from up to down and watch what happens. It kind of looks like it's sunk in more. Okay, and then you would kind of play around with your drop shadows and stuff to get the look that you want. And we can take this off actually. You could add some inner shadow too if you wanted to. Kind of play around with that. Make your distance. Your choke is going to make it more solid. Okay, so no choke, and I just have the size on about 21, something like that. Okay. The gradient overlay on this one, on the inside, I think I'm going to get rid of this point here and maybe play around with these a little bit to create a little bit different variation in it. We'll hit OK, and then maybe reverse the angle. Now maybe let's take the angle over to here a little bit, and then move it like so. Okay, that looks okay. We'll go ahead and hit OK, and then we'll go ahead and click on this very top one. Hold down Shift and then click on the bottom one, and then we'll just put them in a group, and we'll just call this the shield, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so now I want to add like a kind of like a badge to it. So we can do that with the rectangle tool. We'll grab a rectangle tool, make sure we're on shape. Fill we're going to change anyways, but I'm just going to make it black, and I'm going to drag out a shield about like, or a rectangle about like so, and we'll go ahead and round the corners. So to round the corners, you'll see these little circles come up, and if you click on one and drag it, you can make that corner rounded. So about 40 will be okay for what we're doing. Okay, so if you wanted to do these individually in your properties over here, you have this link. Okay, when this is pressed on, that means whatever change you do to one, it's going to equally do to the others. But if you turn this off, say we wanted this bottom lower corner to be a 90, so we would just change it to 0 and hit enter, and see it straightened it out, right? To change it back, just type in 40 and then click on your links. Alright, so now that we have this all played out, I'm going to put a little bit of a bulge in here. So if we go to edit and then transform and then go down to warp, you're going to have a menu up here. So you have your default grid. I mean, you can do it manually if you want, but if you come in here to warp and this little drop down, if you click on it and go down to bulge, it will bulge it out. Now I don't want it 50%. I maybe want it about, let's see, what, 14.9, maybe about like 12. Let's see what 12 looks like. That looks alright. Maybe 10. Let's do 10. Okay, so once you have that, we'll go ahead and hit OK. And we have this bulging banner, or whatever you want to call it. So we can click on shield again, and I'm going to copy the layer styles from this top one. So right click, and we're going to hit copy layer style, and then we're going to paste that onto the rectangle. So right click, paste layer style, and now we have our little gradient and our bevel and emboss and stuff. But I don't want, all I want is this gradient overlay for now. So we can turn these off. Just click on your eyeball, and that'll have all that. Okay, so now we're going to add some text or type. Okay, so if you click on your type tool, I don't want to use this Lindsay signature. Let's use something that has like a boldness to it. Maybe like impact, or the sofa chrome I use a lot. Let's go ahead and use this, and let's do it in the book, not book italic. I have this on 30. I want to make it even. Sharp with center alignment, and then white. And we can just kind of click in here, and we'll just hit backspace, and then I can type in whatever type that you want to go in there. We'll go ahead and hit enter, and then I'm going to make it smaller. So if we hit Control or Command T, if I hold down Alt or Option, drag it in like so, we'll go like that, and then I'll hold down Shift, and it's in there. Okay, that looks pretty close to lined up for me. And then we could add some styles to that too. So let's copy from the we can copy from this layer, copy layer style, and then we'll right click, paste layer style, and now we have that. Okay, so that's beveled down, and basically that's why I did that. Alright, so we have this. Let's go ahead and go down to our rectangle, and then we'll add some bevel and emboss to it. Let's turn it on first, or we won't be able to see what we're doing. So bevel and emboss is there. Let's go ahead and double click on it, and then we can kind of make our changes in here. We could let's do it up again, and then bring our highlight mode down, and then our shadow mode down, like so. Do we like it like this? I think I like it down. Okay, so we have it down. Now if you flip around your global light, so 90 and 30, if you do this at, let's turn off the global light. Let's change this to -90. Basically you see what it does. It just flips your direction up and down. Alright, so I think maybe let's add some inner shadow to it too. And we have that. Alright, so maybe let's make this rectangle smaller. So let's hit Control T, and then if you hold down Shift, we can drag it down. You want to make sure you're holding down Shift. We'll make it like so. We'll hit Enter. I think that'll be okay. Now let's grab our event winner and this rectangle that goes behind it. Hold Shift, and we'll put this in a group. And we'll just call this text and rectangle, whatever you want to call it, just so you know what it is. Text and rectangle, and I think I want to rotate this a little bit. So what I want to do here is convert it to a smart object. Because if we don't, what's going to happen when we rotate it, the gradient is not going to rotate right with it. So if we hit Control T, we can rotate it. You can drag how you want it, or you can just, I just use this a lot, go up here and just type in, so 15 degrees, but I want it the other way, so -15, and we'll hit the check mark or enter to make it right. We can hit Control T again, hold our Shift, and then kind of drag it up like so, and we have that. Alright, so this is our badge, and we can change this gradient to something else. We can double click on our layer 2, which is our inside, go to our gradient overlay. Maybe I'm going to save this as gold new, just in case I don't like it, because we did make some changes. Just hit new, and then it will be right here at the very bottom of your gradients. So maybe we can go into this one, or these are just a bunch of different weird gradients that I've made over time. Okay, we could go into this one. I think I want to leave this like this, and then we want to add maybe like a pattern in here. Alright, so we could do that a couple different ways. Since it's a smart object, or it's not a smart object yet, let's hit OK. If we go to Patterns and click on this drop down, Photoshop has this Legacy Patterns and More, and if you don't have that, I'll put a link in the video on how to get all the new patterns, or all the old patterns. So if we go into Legacy Patterns, Legacy Default Patterns, there's this kind of right diagonal line one. There's these diagonals. There's this one. I mean, there's a bunch of different little patterns that you can use, but I want this diagonal one. So, and I'm just going to leave this at 100%. Everything link with layer. We'll hit OK. And now if we right click and clip it, let's see if it works. It doesn't work because this has a gradient overlay on it. So we would have to convert this to a smart object. So right click, convert to smart object. and then we have to change the blend mode on the line. So change the blend mode to overlay might work. Just change it to what you want. You can go through the different ones, but overlay and soft light. I think I'm going to leave it at overlay, and you could bring the opacity down if you want it on that pattern and just kind of make it look like that, so it has a little texture to it. And you could repeat this. You could make a copy of this. Let's just do that. So Control J, right click, create clipping mask, and then Control T. It won't. We have to rasterize it first. Some of these things just get on my nerves. Right click, rasterize layer, Control T, right click, flip horizontal, and now we have our little X pattern. Okay, and then these masks we can get rid of, so delete layer mask. You don't have to do this step, but I just think it's a little bit cleaner if you delete your layer masks. We could rasterize this pattern fill too while we're at it, rasterize layer. That way if we wanted to move it around or scale it, we could do that. And actually we can scale them. Let's click on both of them, hit Control T, and we can make them bigger like so. Alright, so now we have that. That's our whole shield. Now I'm going to click on the top layer, the very top layer, and then the very bottom layer while holding Shift. And then we're going to right click. I'm just going to convert it all into a smart object. And then we'll go to our Move tool, Align to Canvas, Center, and Center. Okay, so everything's in the center. And then we're going to turn this off. And then click on our background layer, click on our new layer, gradient, and then we're going to switch this to, yeah, we can leave it at that. This is just a little gray. It's this color here, 64, 64, 64. We'll hit OK like so, and there's that. Now we may want to put like a drop shadow on this. You could do create a new layer, grab a brush, so B for brush. Let's click on it. It's a soft round, okay? And then we could take our color picker and then go into like blues, and then, because shadows aren't really technically black, they're more have like a kind of like a bluish tint to them. And then we'll make our brush smaller. Just hold your left bracket or right bracket. And then I'm just going to make a little click like so. Control T, and then if we hold down Shift, we can squash it down like so and put it on there. So there's that. That's kind of a goofy looking shadow. It's kind of a goofy looking shadow, so let's just add a drop shadow on this text and rectangle. We double click it. We can do drop shadow like so. Let's bring our opacity all the way up. We can bring our size and spread up. Just till you get the look that you want. Okay, if you turn your global light off, you can drag this around wherever you see fit. You could do like this. I mean, you can make it however you want. We could also turn this thing back on. We can make like a little bright circle around here. Let's create a new layer. Let's turn on, let's maybe pick this color here. Make it a little bit whiter or brighter. And we'll just do a little dab like that. And you can play around with your opacity or put it on soft light. Mess around with your blend modes, linear dodge, whatever. Just go through. I mean, you're going to have some really cool effects, different effects. If you put it on divide, it does that. Color will be this. So soft light, overlay, lighter color. I mean, linear dodge. That's normal. Dissolve is that loop. Alright, so but anyways, you have all these different options. Probably leave it on linear dodge, and then I'll just kind of bring down the opacity. So we have that. Then you could add your text or whatever. So that's that. Alright, let's go ahead. Actually, let's put a little drop shadow on this too. Drop shadow, let's bring our spread out. Bring our opacity way, way down like so. And we'll just kind of play with it like that. And you could duplicate this one too, do a duplicate. And then the distance on this one is 12. Let's bring this all the way up. Let's bring our distance down. So, and then we can mess around with our opacity. Okay, but we do have it, if you notice, it does show way up top here. Probably not precise, but you could create layers. Hit OK. And this top one here, we could put a layer mask on it. So just hit your layer mask, grab your black brush, and brush away whatever you want. That is one cool thing about using your layer styles. And then we could copy the same mask. If you hold Alt or Option and just drag it down, it will put it on that one too. And then maybe we'll just go like this a little bit. Play around with it. We could also add, I mean, you can add whatever you want. There's a lot of things. Let's go on our underneath our very bottom layer. This is our gradient. We're going to leave that. So new layer on top of that. Actually, let's delete that. Let's make a pattern layer on top of that. And let's go back into our, I thought there was like a hexagon one, but maybe I'm mistaken. Actually, this one will look extra gray granite. We'll hit that one OK. Let's rasterize this layer here. And then if we put this, let's see what happens when we put this on a different blend mode. Maybe on this hard light, and then let's add a levels adjustment to this, clip it, and then we can bring our dark, all of our points like so. Maybe play around with it like this. Drag our whites down some, just to create like a different type of background type of thing. And then maybe I think we can just bring our opacity down too. Maybe like so. I'm just playing around now. Let's add a new layer and let's add some more light. So we go like this. Let's come all the way over here and just do one little dot like this. Okay, let's go back up to our top. Let's add some type tools. We'll just say James Johnson 1, Bent Winner. Click on our move tool, we'll center it up, and right click. I don't know what layer style I have, but I'm just going to hit paste layer style. Okay, so we have that, and then maybe we can right click this one, convert to smart object, And let's do edit transform. Let's do a different warp and bring our bulge in, but we're going the other way, negative. Alright, so that looks okay. And then we could Control T, hold down Shift, and bring it down to here, maybe like so. Since this is a smart object, we'll Control T, right click, flip vertically. We'll pull it down some. Whoops. Control Z. We need to make a copy of it first. Control J, Control T, right click, flip vertical, hold down Shift, drag it down till it meets a little bit, like so. And then right click, perspective, and drag it out like so. It's not really jiving too well. Okay, we'll go ahead and hit enter. Not accepted at all. Let's do Control T, hold down Alt, and we'll shrink it in a little bit like this, and then we'll add a layer mask. Grab our gradient tool, and on this gradient, make sure that you're on. You can use a black to white or a black to transparent. I like using the black to transparent because I can make adjustments easier. Whoa. I'm on radial. Make sure you're on linear also. And we'll go like that. And it just kind of creates that look. We probably need to do some cleanup here. Let's make this a little bit bigger because it doesn't look right. So B for brush. B for brush. We have our brush. Why is it? It's either really big. Yeah, it was really big. So if you take your brush down here, and let's make this a little bit smaller. Hold down Alt. Okay, if we go and make a little point right here, make sure you're on your mask. Make a point right here, and hold down Shift and make a point right here. It will go all the way across, and then maybe just a little bit of mask there. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. We'll go like so, and we can let's put these in a group. So select both of them, and we'll just call this name and go like that. We could come all the way up on this background here and add a, let's add a gradient on top of this. And I want to put this on just a weird purple and blue, like so. We'll hit OK, and then if we hit color, soft light, overlay, kind of mess around with these different blend modes again. So maybe soft light, but with this levels adjustment, it's not going to look great. Okay, let's bring our opacity down so we just have this little tint. Maybe let's flip this. Let's reverse it. I think that looks a little bit better. So, kind of long-winded as usual. If that helped you out, good. Leave a comment, subscribe, like, share it with your friends, whatever. And we will see you on the next one.